Guys, do you want a horse that does like that, or do you want a horse that does like this? I'm Michael Gascon, and I'm going to show you the Respect series. You could do all this in one session. Hey world, I'm Michael Gascon, the horse guru. I'm a 5th generation horse trainer coming to you guys to bring you the most evolved, easiest, and simplest guide to horsemanship that's on the market today, the Respect series. This is great for any level rider, from the highest levels to the lowest levels, just beginning. I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to talk to you in a way that you understand. I've had the blessed and fortunate opportunity to have a career where I get to travel around the world and work with some of the world's most problematic horses, and I'm going to take all those experiences of working 400 to 500 horses a year, all the knowledge I've gained through that, countless mentors around the world, and I'm going to bring all that information to you and put it in a way that you can understand. We're going to go through this Respect series, and just through these 13 steps you are going to be able to do anything you want with your pony. Today, we are working with Lee. Lee is a 7-year-old spotted saddle horse, and I have never worked him before. He got brought in just for this video, and we are going to show you just what it's like if you're going to look to buy a horse, if you don't know your crazy Uncle Bob's horse and you're about to ride it, things that you can do to let you know who you're about to ride. Basically, we're going to teach you to speak the language of the horse in layman's terms in a way that you can understand. We have it all set up just like elementary school, just like high school, and what we're going to do is any horse, no matter how finished they are or how beginner they are, how green they are, if they're a feral Mustang, this program works with them all, big or small. What we want to do is this. We want to give them the final exam of each grade. If this is really a trained saddle horse, then he should have no issues. But what my experience has shown me time and time again, so many times a horse has an education in a college course like dressage or reining or roping or barrel racing, but nobody remembered to give them elementary school classes. And because of this, the problems that we encounter, the reasons that we get hurt, the reasons we get in trouble with our pony, is because there's a fundamental issue, and we're going to show you how to find them. If you notice, my round pen looks like a redneck's backyard, because it is. We're going to go through preschool, and preschool is just our way of seeing how a horse feels about us, how respectful they are, and I simply want to free lunge him over these obstacles. So I'm going to take my flag stick here. I'm just going to ask him to move off. Now, as a profession, I work problem horses. And colt starts is my bread and butter. But the reason that I start here, you notice he already has a saddle and halter on because he's supposed to be a saddle horse. But if this was a colt start and the horse had never been ridden, never been worked, it was a feral Mustang, we would start with preschool. Preschool tells you this. It tells you how coddled a horse has been, how respectful they are. If for whatever reason a horse would rather run you over than jump over that tarp, no Mustang in history that I've ever met of all the Mustangs that I've worked that were feral have ever even come close to trying to charge me versus go over the tarp, because you're a human being, you're a predator, they're a prey animal. They'd much rather just jump that or jump a fence or jump anything to get away from you. So the only horses that have ever given me an issue about preschool are horses that have been overly coddled, overly handled and domesticated. They have zero fear and respect of human beings, and they're scared of that, so then they try to run you over. So there's a lot that we can learn about a horse just by sending him around in each direction. Now, one of the most groundbreaking things about this program is, as I studied horsemanship and the history of horsemanship, from riding in Mongolia to going to the School of Equestrian Art in Spain, learning dressage, to doing natural horsemanship, is through the history of horses, the punchline of horsemanship has been wear the horse out to get what you want. Well, I was born and raised at a world-class Pasofino facility, and Pasofinos can go all day long. So many times when I studied, I felt so frustrated because I felt like I was a blubbering idiot because it didn't work. Well, it didn't work because the punchline of so many of the crafts that I was studying was wear the horse out. Well, Pasos are marathon runners. They will laugh at you as they're lapping circles around you. So our program, we're not getting the horse tired. So for Lee right here, I just wanted to push him one time in each direction and make sure he respected me enough to go one time over in each direction, not dare try to run me over or come in my space, and I can move his feet a little. but it's not to wear him out. And you're going to hear that again and again as the program goes on. Now I'm just going to go over and catch my horse. All right, buddy. Thank you, sir. Today we're going to be working him in a halter. The halter is where we start with anything. We show up into town. My average day, I blow into town on an airplane. I show up with a halter and my boots, and that's about it. Whenever I do that, they bring me 10 to 12 problematic horses that I don't know, have never seen. I don't screen, don't care. Do they have 4 legs and a tail? Let's go. With that being said, no matter how problematic it is, we are going to work with a halter. Simply in the beginning, it's the clearest way to communicate, and it doesn't hide any of the issues. So many times if we're working a bridle that has different pressure points and different things going on, it can mask a problem or magnify one. This halter is so simple that it's going to let us know how the horse understands pressure, how well the horse gives the pressure. You notice it looks a little different as it has a knot on top and some knots on the side. Knots on the side are for my reins because I plan on riding any and every horse with it, and a knot on top for my brakes. Once we've passed preschool, we're just going to move to the next thing. And again, I've never worked this horse, but this is how magic this system works. If your horse is really advanced and is really nice and sane of mind and respectful, well then a finished horse should pass these tests in 10-15 minutes. Now you know the horse, you know what you're riding, and you can go on to riding. But time and time again at a clinic, a dressage horse will come, a jumping horse will come, a reining horse will come, a cutting horse will come. And they're supposed to be finished horses, but when you ask them these tests, they just fall apart. Well, the earlier on in the program that they fall apart, that is the root of their issues, and we see it time and time again. Again, we get the opportunity to work 400 or 500 horses a year, and we've done that for the better part of a decade. So a lot of science behind this. Remember, science is simply having a theory and putting it to the test again and again and again. We're going to kindergarten. Kindergarten is simply respect. I simply want to walk this horse off, keep him outside of my bubble, stop, turn. I like that he didn't keep approaching me. If that horse is all in your space, he's not being respectful. The next thing I'm going to do is ask him to back up. I'm going to grab the lead line over my thumb here like so, and I'm going to start clicking, waving the rope. Thank you, sir. Notice before I ever put any physical pressure, I start clicking and waving the rope, and I do this repetitively until he knows what's coming. He looks a little lost because he's never done this program before, but that's okay. He's going to figure it out real quick because of our clarity and repetitiveness. Good boy. There's a couple things. One of the things that our life mission is, our life goal, is to put out some common knowledge things about horses. One of those things is if they don't back up out of your space, don't ride them. They can't tell you any clearer that they don't respect you. In the animal kingdom, whoever backs up, whoever moves their feet is the loser. Whoever gains ground is the winner. So if a horse is pushing you around, if a horse is backing you up, well then they're telling you that they don't respect you and they're trying to impose themselves and their will on you. If the horse is telling you from the ground, I don't respect you, why would you swing a leg over it? It's not a great idea. Pressure, 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 release. Now that time I didn't have the pressure. That time I didn't have the pressure. Good job, buddy. Getting a horse as soft as can be. We go around to these expos and do night shows with Liberty horses and bridleless horses and bareback horses, and people say, it's so lovely how soft you are with your animals. Absolutely, but understand that starts with simple pressure and release first. Whenever he tries to go left or right, I just do the opposite. Good boy. One more time. Well, now he's a little weary of coming forward. Guys, that is okay, because whenever we stop backing him so many times every day, he'll come with us. But remember, everybody that gets hurt with horses, the horse has to make contact with you. So if he wants to keep that bubble, you are all the safer. And this Respect series is all about your safety. Horses are your passion. Horses are your love. If you want to have fun with them, you have to be confident. For you to feel confident, you have to feel safe. And we are going to give you some simple rules to get just that. So just like that, he's staying out of our space. He's not rubbing all on us. He's not pushing us with his nose. He's not breathing on his neck. Whenever they breathe on our neck, it feels lovely, no doubt. but I'm telling you, it's bad behavior. The reason being is when you see horses licking on each other and scratching each other's neck, that's a friendly relationship. You see that chestnut mare that waddles when she walks? Nobody breathes on her neck because she would bite them. She would, mare face. If she does that, all the other horses move off. So she is safer than all the other horses because she has a protective bubble around her. Oh, well, I want to be my horse's friend. I don't want to be their boss. Well, if they hate their boss so much, then how come wherever she goes, that's where the whole herd goes? They follow her everywhere she goes. It's the same thing. It's easy to like people that you really respect. Just like that, he passed kindergarten by backing out of our space with no physical pressure and staying outside of our bubble. He passes, we move to first grade. First grade is simply lunging for attention. Again, I need to reiterate, even when we lunge, we're not trying to wear this horse out. All I need this horse to do is walk a circle around me and look at me at the same time. Backing ensures that he respects me and my brakes are going to work from the saddle. First grade, which is lunging for attention, ensures that the steering wheel works and I can keep his attention. If this horse is looking all over the place, if this horse is dancing, if I put a little pressure and I go redneck skiing and he drags me, well then I am not ready to ride this horse. If I can't turn his head left and right, you do not have a steering wheel. And if you got in your forward and that steering wheel didn't turn, you wouldn't say, it's okay, Ford will take care of me. No, he won't. It's not a great idea. So it's the same thing here with Lee. I'm going to stand directly in front of him. I'm not going to help him. I'm not going to chase behind his butt to lunge him. A wild Mustang or Brumby in Australia, if you come up behind their butt, they'll run off. That doesn't show you how trained they are or how broke they are. Make them do something difficult. So stand directly in front of him, point him off here, start swinging this rope beside his shoulders, bring it closer to his shoulders, move, 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 and release. Notice, just like in the animal kingdom, I go in one direction. I go straight towards him, just like the horses in his herd that are in charge. Good boy. Good boy. So you see him moving forward there and giving me his face and looking at me? That's what I want to see. Popping on the saddle. There we go. Very nice. Very nice. I'm judging how hard he pulls on me. So if you get this wonderful, blessed opportunity that I have to ride all these wonderful specimens, if you ride 400 or 500 of the world's most problematic horses a year and you do that for a job year after year, the only way you can live to tell the tale is you got to have some form of checks and balances. You got to have some pre-flight check. I've got a couple flight hours working on my pilot's license, and believe me, pilots sound smart because they're pilots, but really they have a dummy-proof laminate sheet in the plane that is a checklist, and they laminate it so it's there forever with the plane. And every time before you start it up, you would think you have it memorized, you pull this out and you go step by step, and it's the pre-flight check. Well, it's the exact same thing that I do with each and every horse whenever I'm getting to know them, to know exactly where their mind is, to know exactly who they are. My favorite thing about horses is they're honorable creatures. If you get surprised by a horse, you didn't ask them the right question. So I want to make sure to ask this guy who he is. Ask him to move off. Not afraid to ask him to go forward because under saddle I might kick him, I might kiss to him. So I need to know how he's going to take that pressure. Out of nowhere, I might just spook him. Right there, whenever I spooked him, if he loses his marbles because he got spooked and he drags me, I do not want to ride yet, because right now I'm a 200-pound redneck anchor. And if he can drag me on the ground through this dirt, well then if I get on his back and he gets spooked on the trail, I will not be able to stop him as a torso with arms. So if your horse drags you on the ground, don't ride them until you can soften them up and make sure that they will not drag you. Oftentimes we're not getting in trouble because we're asking our horses for too much. We're getting in trouble because we're not asking our horses for enough. I don't care how trained your horse is. I repeat, I do not care how trained your horse is. For all the thousands of people watching, all the people watching this video, Everybody that rides horses has fallen off or gotten hurt by a horse. 99 percentile of them got hurt by a trained horse. So that just goes to show you, it doesn't matter how trained your horse is, it matters what do they do when they're under distress. What do they do when they're uncomfortable? So many people go buy a finished show horse, well that's great, and then when they go take it on the trail they get hurt. They go buy a finished rodeo horse because it's been to rodeos, it's traveled, it's done this, it's done that. The second they get it on the hillside or in an open field, they run into trouble. Well, that's because the horse knows its job, but can't handle distress or change. So we want to make sure we know what that horse is going to do. There we go. You see how we have that bend? I'm really liking that. And notice all he has to do is walk. Walk forward and look at me. If you have a horse that's yelling for their friends, this is a great place to get their attention on you. I look him right in the face because I want him looking at my face. You ladies, you know you've been there. You've been at the mall in the food court, and Becky says, hey, don't look, but there's a weirdo looking at you. What's the first thing you do? I told you not to look. Well, now you're looking, and you can't stop looking because you want to see if the weirdo's still looking at you. It's the same thing with the horse. Everybody I see lunge is looking at the back end. And though that hiney is good looking on this horse, there's no reason to look at it. Look at his face, see if he's paying attention. If I want to know if you're invested in my conversation, as a young man, I was taught to look a man in the eye, look a woman in the eye whenever you're talking to them. If you look somebody in the eye when you're talking to them, it's very easy to read how invested they are in this conversation. Well, it's the same thing with this horse. By me looking right into his eye whenever I'm driving him, moving him, it's very easy for me to see how invested he is in our conversation. And if he's not invested, that's the problem. Because your vehicle listens when you turn the steering wheel. Your vehicle listens when you press the brake. This vehicle has a mind of its own. So if he won't even pay attention to you when you're holding on to his face, standing directly in front of him, well then he's not going to magically listen to you when you swing your leg over him, you're sitting in his blind spot. So I want to get this horse's respect and undivided attention before I ever get on his back. So just like that, we've been through preschool. He was willing to move away from us over obstacles. We went through kindergarten. He was willing to back out of our space, respect us, the brakes work. And we went through first grade, where he was willing to lunge for attention. He was willing to give his face left and right, the steering wheel works. Now the last thing we're going to do in first grade is we're going to drop his head down, like so. And I do this by putting one hand on the nose band, my forearm on his forehead, and right above his poll there's a lump of bone. Right behind that there's a soft spot, and I'm going to ask him to drop his head. I want to keep two hands between he and I because I don't want to get summer teeth. You know what summer teeth are? Some are here, some are there, some are dangling in your mouth. You don't want that. Two hands between you and your horse. The relevance of this and that horse dropping his head, I don't care if you are pint size, and I don't care if you're riding a behemoth of a horse. Do you know where a giraffe drinks water from? It drinks it from the pond, from the lake, from the water crossing. It looks quite goofy whenever it does it too, but what I'm getting at is no matter how big the animal is, it has to drop its head down to get that water. So if that horse respects you, it will drop its head to you, bar none. 400 or 500 horses a year, all problems, they all drop their head to us. Oh no, my horse was abused, it's a rescue, it's this, it was ear twitched. I've had horses in my clinics that have 1 ear, 1.5 ears, horses with mites that are jumping out when I get close to the ear because they're scared, ticks in the ears, all these excuses. When that horse is respectful, they say, yes sir, yes ma'am. That's what you want to see. This is the language of the horse. And I simply want you to understand it. Human beings are the smartest being on the planet, regardless of popular beliefs. It makes a lot more sense, instead of trying to teach the horse your language, put a little pressure on yourself to learn their language one time, and you will be able to go around the world and speak to any horse alive. Because the language of the horse is universal. So just like that, he passed preschool, kindergarten, first grade. Now the training starts. What do you mean, Michael? The training starts? You've already been working. Guys, everything that we did up to this point was just establishing how our relationship's going to be. I walked into the round pen and said, I'm the boss. Nice to meet you. He said, yes, sir. I understand. Now we're going to start training. Everything up to this point through first grade is just establishing our relationship. Now I'm going to start training. Can you guys tell me what is the most primal instinct of a horse? Yes, you're correct. Running off is absolutely the most primal instinct. So much so, we train safari horses in Africa, and when the animals, the prey animals, were at the watering hole, we did our very best not to spook them. The reason being is if we spook them, even though they know they have to drink to survive, they can't go very long in Africa without drinking water, and the water is very scarce. If we spook them off, they would go the rest of the day without drinking because running is their most primal instinct. Well, it's the same way with the horse. So the first thing that we want to train this horse to do is how to stand still. The way that we're going to do that, pro tip, make sure you pass the first 2 grades first. Because if I start spooking and desensitizing this horse and he doesn't respect my bubble, he'll run me over. And if he's not soft left and right, well then he'll drag me out of position or he'll run away from me and kick me. So do these things in order. They're in order for a reason. I'm going to take this rope and I'm just going to swing it over him. Look at the change in my body. I'm just like, I don't care. Ugh. Like a 13-year-old teenage girl, like, ugh. Really so serious, it's like so 2000s, oh my goodness. The reason that I'm doing that is because horses are all about body language. You could put 20 horses in this round pen and not hear a peep. Everything is the raise of a head, the flick of a tail, the show of some teeth is how they communicate. So one of the most amazing things with working with horses is they show you how to handle you. To control the beast, you have to control the beast within first. You have to control your body before you're going to control the body of the horse. So whenever I was moving him, I looked assertive, I puffed up like a little banty rooster, like a little peacock, and I came right at him. Now when I'm desensitizing, I'm just relaxing. The second I could touch the air on both sides of him, I'm going to throw this over his withers. Now, there's a lot of theories out there. Approach and retreat, this, that, and the other, give it some time, do your thing, la-di-da. That's all wonderful. My bread and butter has been a hot, spicy, spunky horses, and so much of that stuff, it's not clear enough to work. So you're desensitizing this Arabian or saddlebred or this Paso for 5 years and it's still spooky. That's because we're not being clear enough. Clarity is power. So whenever this horse spooks, I'm just going to stick with him and show him the answer. If he tries to booger off here, so he might not like this, if he boogers off when I touch his flanks, I'm going to pull his face my way. That's going to keep him from kicking me. And then I'm going to keep shutting down his forward. And when he stands still again, that's when I'm going to release. So it's almost approach and approach. Don't stop until you give the horse the right answer. All of us, everybody watching this, everybody that comes into contact with horses is a horse trainer. I mean that. If you come into contact with a horse, you're a horse trainer. Whether you're training them for good or bad is yet to be seen. Problem horses is our bread and butter. It's how I support my family. Problem horses aren't problem horses. Bucking, kicking, running, biting, all these things, it's not bad horse behavior, it's horse behavior. Now it's your job that whenever they're doing bad horse behavior, that they don't get a release of mental energy. And whenever they do good horse behavior, they get quietness, they get freedom. That's what we're looking for. Okay, you got to think. So much of what we're going to ask this horse to do, this natural horsemanship that we're using, natural horsemanship is simply natural husbandship. Do you know, I'm a married man, so I really understand this. I know a lot of you watching are married. My wife asks me things in such lovely ways, like she is the sweetest. But she'll ask me things like, honey, would you cut the grass? Honey, will you take out the trash? You see how sweet it sounds and how it sounds like there's a question mark? I'm telling you through experience, that is a statement. She is saying, hey, go cut the grass. Hey, go take out the trash. It's the same way that we want to communicate with our horses. We want to say, hey, can you canter, please? And them understand, thank you for asking me so sweetly and nicely, let's canter. That's what we're looking to do here. So anything that we want to do that with, we're just going to show it with repetition. Now I'm going to use a flag stick. I'm going to bring this straight to his nose here. The reason I'm going to bring it straight to his nose and right down the lead rope, and again, listen to the science of thousands upon thousands of horses have done this. If you come from the ground up, you're inviting a strike or a bite. It's like a predator or a dog attacking a horse. Now, if you go above his eyes where he can't see and you blind him, 1 out of every 50 horses or so will explode and come forward. So, straight down the lead rope in front of him to the investigation center, which is his muzzle. That's going to make him want to stand still. Now from there, don't break contact, but watch how I'll step to the same side as the flag, go down his cheek, his neck. Now as you start passing the drive line. The drive line is right in front of the cinch. As you start passing that and go backwards, anything in front of the drive line makes the horse want to stand still or cut back. If you're chasing a cow, if you're chasing a steer, if you go towards their head, they cut back. If you chase their butt, they go forward. So I'm going to go back here, touch his butt. If he doesn't like this, if he's standing and kicking, I'm just going to let him kick at it until he doesn't want to kick anymore. If he blows up and goes forward, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull on his face and bring this right back in front of him. One hand bumps the halter and the other hand puts the flag in his face. We did it to one side, so we do it to the other. And basically, door number 1, run away, doesn't work because I'll pull on him. Door number 2, run into me, that doesn't work because I have a hand up between he and I. Door number 3, stand still. Oh, see? But Michael, you're not releasing. Releasing doesn't have to look like this. Good job, horse. No, no. What I'm doing with this horse has no physical repercussion or implications. What does that mean? That means that in his mind, this might be a mental hurdle where he feels afraid of this, but if he will stand still long enough to take a deep breath, just like a kid drowning in a kiddie pool, help, I'm drowning. Stand up. They stand up and the water comes to their thighs. Oh, I was never in danger. Right, exactly. From then on, they're not scared of the kiddie pool. Well, it's the same way with a horse. A lot of times you're showing them a flag stick or a tarp just to put them in a mental dilemma to show them what you want from them. The relevance of this is it's not a horse's fear that hurts you. It's not a horse's fear that hurts you. It's their reaction to that fear. We just came back from Africa, and one of the things in Africa is I got a call from a lady, and she said, "Is this Michael Gascon?" "Yes, ma'am." "I heard that you can get a horse calm." I was like, "Yes, ma'am, I read in a pony or two." She's like, "Do you think you can get a horse ready for elephants and lions out in the wild without missing a beat?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, no problem." Because I understand it's not about shooting the gun. It's not about swinging the rope. It's not about them being scared of cows or parades or streets or traffic. It's about how they handle fear, and that we can absolutely curve. From there, we started with the lead rope. We went to the flag stick. Now, one thing you'll notice, the lead rope is 15 foot. The flag stick is 4 foot extension of my arm. Now, the tarp is on my hand, but it's the same pattern. And the reason you see the same pattern, if this horse had never been ridden, I would be doing the exact same steps. So after the tarp would then come the saddle, and the saddle would be easy to put on the horse's back. If you notice, there's a common theme with everything I desensitize the horse with. It's light, it's cheap. You know, horse trainers are broke. It's light, it's cheap, and it's very easy to move with. It's mobile, so I can stick with this horse if he tries to go. I don't want to desensitize the horse with my saddle because saddles, number 1, are expensive. Number 2, they're heavy and hard to move with. So make sure whatever you desensitize your horse with, you can be as creative as you want to. Just make sure you can move with it, it's light. And remember, we're working on 3 senses of desensitizing. Sight, things they can see. Sound, things they can hear. Touch, things you can touch them with. I'm being a little descriptive, maybe over descriptive, because I have an 8-month-old right now, and everything is, this is touch. So I kind of feel like Dora. All right, guys, we got tarp on this horse's back. This horse is officially past being able to stand still and freeze up. So now we're going to move forward, and we're going to go to 3rd grade, where we desensitize in motion. The fact that he's standing still is great. If you want to make a forgiving horse, I have all these eager beaver students that come down to South Mississippi who want to be the next great horse trainer of the world. And the first thing I ask them, do you want to know the holy grail of horse training? Yes, yes. So much eager and twinkle in their eyes when they come. Yes, yes. The holy grail of horse training. If you can get a horse to stand still, no matter what's going on, and you can get a horse to walk on a loose rein, no matter what's going on, somebody somewhere will love that horse. Okay? The reason being is, if it'll just do those things, it's forgiving, and it doesn't have to be athletic, and it doesn't have to be gaited, and it doesn't have to be smooth, and it doesn't have to be pretty, and it doesn't have to be big. It could be any horse. Any horse can do this, and you're going to give them a good quality of life. From there, any job that they can do, extra icing on the cake. Anything extra that they can do, awesome, wonderful. But at least we have one baseline stat, one baseline fundamental thing that if we put on all of our horses, every horse will have a good home, a good life. So many horses that end up misplaced is because they didn't get that fundamental education and they tried to get put on a job. Now let's say they tried to get one job handed to them because they were in a one-job farm. They weren't good at that one job, so they got tossed out of that farm because they weren't good at the one job, and they don't have fundamental education, so they're very difficult to repurpose. They're uncomfortable to handle. They're not safe to be around because of their lack of education. Well, now they get handed down, passed down, handed down, passed down, until they end up in a bad place. So the nicest thing that you can do is go through the respect series. Give your horse some discipline. Give your horse some respect. So that way, no matter what, down the line, it's always going to end up in a nice place. That's the holy grail of horse training. Now we're going to move on to third grade because he passed second so well. Third grade is desensitizing in motion. 2 ways to make a horse's training fall apart. Like I told you, 99% of people that get hurt, they get hurt on a trained horse. The 2 ways to make a horse forget his training: scare the bejesus out of him. We've done that multiple times. He said, yeah, I'm pretty cool. And have them go faster, have them move their feet. So we can all agree I've done simple tasks with him: back up, turn left and right. Now I'm simply going to ask him to back up, turn left and right under distress with something else to pay attention to. One of the downfalls of great horsemen is a lot of great horsemen in this generation are training horses in the perfect environment. Look how nice this round pen is. Great footing, high walls, no distractions. What do I do with that? I turn it into a whirlwind, a disaster in here, so the horse learns how to pay attention to me over all the things that are here. I'm going to send this horse off, point him off again. Get him walking nice and quiet, and then out of nowhere, I'm going to spook him. He doesn't like my turkey call. There we go. 2 things I'm judging. What kind of ride does that saddle go on? Yeah. Oh, yep. So you see he's kind of handling up on me. There we go. Show him the answer that we want. You don't know what to do, shut down. Don't drag me. All right, guys. So right there, he drugged me. Well, Michael, that's not realistic. There's not going to be a maniac redneck in the woods that's going to hang off the side of his saddle. Might be, since I'm riding him. Okay. Think about this. Every time that anybody's been ran away with, bucked off, reared with, that horse had something that made him uncomfortable and looked for his own way out. This is where the magic happens. Every time that he gets uncomfortable, anything that's going to happen to me that's not going to behoove my health and well-being is going to happen in a straight line. So if it's going to happen in a straight line, that tells me this. Everything, bucking, running, and rearing, happens in a straight line, and their back end is pushing. So in those scenarios when he's trying to run off, if I can get him soft enough that even under distress with 2 fingers I can pull him around and cross up his back feet, well then that tells me that when I cross up his back feet, I'm taking his motor away from him. I'm shutting him down, having him wait for me for the answer. Much better answer. Good boy. When cars break down, they don't go. So you can get your 16-year-old a clunker. Whenever you are learning how to ride, that should be your most expensive horse. Okay? Because that should be the horse that should take care of you. When cars break down, they don't go. When horses break down, they don't whoa. So we want to make sure that even when that horse gets uncomfortable, under distress, that he's going to stand and wait for us like he just did right there. Just like that, he passed 3rd grade. When I say don't ride a horse that will drag you, that doesn't mean that you can't ride him forever. Just show him the right answer first. So after he drugged me for a few feet, I came back. I came back and showed him what I wanted him to do, which was give me his face, move his butt. He was able to do that. Now I'm ready to ride. Now when I say I'm ready to ride, guys, I wouldn't care if this pony was 3 or 30, a pony or a Percheron, ate 2 children last week. If the horse has the worst reputation in the world, hurt 5 trainers, if it passes these tests, I'm ready to ride. On the other hand, if the cutest little 6-year-old barrel racer with pink tassels on her saddle leads a horse in, I'm not skipping anything because you hear this voice of experience, that horse might try to kill you when he gets uncomfortable. Don't assume anything. Assumption is the fatherhood of error. I'm telling you, these horses, they are so honorable. Just ask them. Just ask them who they are. If you want to know who somebody is, you simply put a little pressure on them. You'll find out. Well, it's the same way with the horse. When you put them under a little mental distress, they'll show you who they are. Well, Michael, that was kind of a lot for this horse for your first. You just met this horse. You've never ridden this horse. How are you going to put that much pressure on him? Guys, this is their language, not mine. So many times we're humanizing horses and trying to come up with, we want them to have a sofa to sit on and a psych to listen to their thoughts and their well-beings and all. You are humanizing them. This is their language. If I put this guy out with my horses in the herd, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to come up and smell each other. Then they're going to take off running, bucking, and kicking. Oh, how cute. They're making friends. They are not making friends. They are deciding who's on top of the totem pole, and whether that takes 20 minutes or 2 hours, it's going to keep going. It's going to keep persisting until they have it figured out. Once they have it figured out, they are going to go back to eating your money and getting fatter. So whenever I work with these horses at the clinic, the idea of easing into it, the idea of taking our time, all those are humanized thoughts. I walked in, I said, hey, I'm in charge. Hey, you might get spooked here and there. This is what I want you to do. And then from there, the rides get easier. From there, the communication gets softer. We have so many bridleless horses we train and liberty horses we train where there's no human contact with the horse and the horse does everything. Understand, the best off-leash obedience dog is also the best on-leash obedience dog. The best bridleless horse is oftentimes the best bridled horse as well. So we show them that we're in charge. We show them what we want them to do and that we're a competent, confident leader. And then from there, the conversation gets easier. Now we're going to move to 4th grade. Mount prep. I simply want to jump up, put a little weight off this saddle, bump him right here, right behind that leg. A lot of people shake the stirrup leather, nothing wrong with that, but they don't take account into their little big toe that sticks right through here and boop, pokes them. Could be a problem. He says there's no problem. I say perfect. I have the inside rein grabbed up. I don't pull him around. I just have contact on it. The reason I don't pull him around is that when I would try that with my hot horses, a lot of them would want to circle. Now I'm going to grab up here and I'm going to stand directly up, flatten my back out, and mounting for me is a 2-step process. The reason being, if he has an issue with seeing something in this other eye, I want it to be with my hand. If he was to buck off or explode off right here, well then I could simply step down and pull him around. So this guy, I hop on, he immediately starts moving. The second my butt touched the saddle, he starts moving. Okay, so you can tell it's not a horse that I've worked with because we are definitely against that. Horses are creatures of habit. If you get on and go, before long they'll go before you get on. So the second my butt touched this saddle, it was like, okay, let's go. That's not what we want to see. So there we go. Whenever he stands still for a moment, good job. Now we're going to go to 5th grade. 5th grade is flexing, and the way that we're going to do that is we're going to check our steering wheel. And I'm going to slide this down, pull him around, pull him around, pull him around, find his face, pull it to the seam of my jean in my pocket. I don't want you flexing to your cha-chas. I don't want you flexing in front of you, because later on in the program, whenever we move his shoulders, we're going to bring our hands in front of us. There we go. So him moving his feet tells you how sticky and resistant that steering wheel is. A lot of your gaited horses or English horses have been driven in a straight line, and there's not a lot of bending. Well, bending is super important because bending is what moves the butt, and moving the butt is what gets us under control. Crossing up those back feet is what takes the motor away from a horse. So he's softening, but he's still moving his feet because he's being resistant. Look how repetitive I'm being. So this is the first thing that he's kind of resisted since we started working with him. Good boy. That's a good boy. There we go, fella. If you went to your garage and you stuck the key in the ignition, if you're my wife, you buckled up first. You stuck the key in the ignition and you started your vehicle. If that steering wheel was locked up, it would freak you out and you wouldn't go anywhere. Well, then why in the world, if you get on Sugar Cookie or Plum Bear or Pie or whatever your horse's name is, and they don't give their face, which is their steering wheel, why would you ride them off? And the answer is you shouldn't. That's why it's our life goal to make common knowledge values for horsemanship to keep people safe, because my biggest issue with horsemanship, with the horse industry, is the lack of education on fundamental things that seems to keep getting people hurt. Every time I tell somebody in the public that I'm a horse trainer, they say, oh, the last time I rode a horse and the time that they fell off. The horrible accident they had, the horse that bit them, the horse that struck them. There we go. All he has to do to pass this is flex one time in each side without moving his feet. And again, a lot of these gaited horses are just driven in a straight line down a track or down a road. And there we go. Good job, buddy. So just like that, he passes, gives me one time to each side without moving his feet. Well, now we are going to take his face and move his butt. All right, so 5th grade, he passed by giving us his face. That was button number 1. Button number 2, give us your butt. Give us your butt. There we go. And I simply want to be able to pull his face towards his butt and move it. If he can't do it here with nothing going on and no speed, if he gets scared, we will not be able to stop him. If he starts bucking, we will not be able to stop him. So I want to make sure to pass 6th grade. I mean, you remember 6th grade, the first year of middle school. It's a beautiful time. Just started getting the acne. Got those braces. It was a lovely time. Wonderful haircuts. There we go. Listen to rock and roll bands. 6th grade was great. We're going to move his butt here. I want to see his back end cross over, but I want to be able to just put 2 fingers on these reins and cross his back feet up. Because ultimately, this is your ace in the hole. This is your manual override. When things go wrong, you see how up in the air he is? His head's up in the air. He's puffed out. Looks like a little banty rooster. Yeah. Horses are at their strongest, head up, nose out, just like he likes to carry himself. We find our control when the horse relaxes, puts his head down, and he's off center. Left and right, controlling the horse's head left and right, is our ability to take them from bucking, running, or rearing. As long as we have left and right, we're able to control where they go. If we have up and down and we can drop their head, we can energize them or relax them by picking their head up or dropping their head down. If you have a quarter horse and you want to be a Western pleasure horse, relaxed, nice and easy, you drop its head. If you want to be a charro horse down in Mexico and be a dancing horse, you pick its head up and you energize it, and that same horse is going to look completely different. Well, if we understand this, well, now we can take any hot horse, we can get a out of the show ring saddlebred, drop its head and get it to relax and become a trail horse. But we have to understand that anytime their pole drops below their withers, it releases an endorphin that kills adrenaline. It's a lot like my wife. She'll get real tense and tight. I mean, if we work 1 minute past 12 o'clock, you start seeing her head raise and her shoulders get tense and tight, and she gets like a snarl on her face. And I know the hangry is coming, okay? And when that hanger comes, if I want to get her to relax, I give her some chocolate. I feed her, okay? Well, in this case, I'm not going to feed this horse to relax him, but I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to trick his brain into thinking that he's eating by dropping his head. So this horse, when he's at the most relaxed, look out of your window. The horses you see in the field, they spend all day with their head in your grass getting fatter, and periodically they explode and run across the field and kick out and, try to murder men that they see in their mind because there's nothing out in the field scaring them. When that happens, it's real simple. They're relaxed when their head's down in the grass. When they explode, their head pops up, their tail pops up, and then they're gone. So if we understand this and it's just cause and effect, well then getting this horse to drop his head is going to be our ability to get him to relax. But before we can say, hey, put your head down, we have to get left and right. We have to get their face and their butt. When I go to places and I do a 30-minute colt start where we get a horse that's never been ridden, they put a countdown clock, we go through our little steps that you're seeing here, people are already in awe. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. In Africa, they had never seen colt starting, so they're, oh my God. And then within the 30 minutes, I say, hey, open the gate. And they say, open the gate? You're going to die. Believe it or not, contrary to popular belief, I do not have a death wish. What that horse has told me at that point is, no matter how scared I am or how fast I'm going, you can pull my head left and right and move my butt. If that's the case, I have no fear, zero fear of the horse running, bucking, or rearing. So I can control them and send them any direction I want. So in Africa, in less than 30 minutes, we would start these horses and then have them out in the bush, in the wild, because that's all they had. Their idea of a round pen was that they got some broken water pipe and tied it to a few trees, and that was the round pen. So it was no different. In the same token, you can bring me a horse that's been ridden for 15 years, and it might take me 3 or 4 days to ride him out and about, because I realize, oh, this horse has 15 years of riding and 15 years of pulling on people, and we really have no control. It's like trying to stop a freight train with a lasso. Not so great. Good job, buddy. All right, we're going to move on to that wonderful 7th grade, and that's going to be spirals. Spirals is really going to help this horse. This horse is straight and square. He's like a little drill sergeant. Let's go. Let's march on. Okay, buddy, calm down, relax. The way that we're going to do that is this. This is the type of horse that gets on a trail and cannot walk, that just wants to charge to the front of the pack, that just wants to get back to the trailer or the barn. To fix that, we're going to do this. We're going to walk him in a circle. If he wants to go, he can go. But we're going to start turning him to the side here. So now he's trying to gate back to the barn. He's trying to gate back to be in front of the other horse or be with his friends. We're going to take him in a circle here. The inside rein, pulling him to my knee, touch and release. Touch and release. When the circle gets small, like so, I'm going to gather up this outside rein. Ho. I lock my inside hand into my leg. My outside hand is the only one doing the work, and I'm going to ask him to back. Bump, 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 and release. The second he takes a backward step, I release. Bump, 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 bump. Out of all of my travels around the world, all of my countless mentors who have been nice enough to give me their information, this exercise is by far the quickest and easiest way to get that horse soft and respectful. And the reason it's so beneficial is you have them off center so they can't really pick with you. If they try to rear, just release the outside rein, they'll turn. If they try to run off, just release the outside rein, they'll turn. If they try to buck, just release the outside rein, they'll turn. And in the meantime, you could just pick on them. Every step of momentum they get going forward, they get stronger. So having this conversation at a standstill, where they're not at their strongest, is really beneficial. Having this conversation where they're sideways, good job, buddy, is really beneficial. Taking him off center takes half of his muscle groups away from him. Good boy. So we can simply pick apart his resistance, and no matter how hard he pulls on a bit, no matter how much he's pulled on in the past, we're putting him in a position that he's not accustomed. There we go. And getting a horse to do whatever you want, no matter how strong they are, it's not about using your muscle. It's about using your mind. It's not about using power. It's about using persistence. It's not about using force. It's about using friction. Let that halter do the work for you. So you see him already, his chin starting to come to his chest. If I was a fancy trainer, I would use big words like vertical flexion. A very fancy way of saying, hey, put your nose down, buddy. The reason that's important is because when their nose is out and their head is up, that's when they're strong. That's why every dressage horse, every reining horse, every Western pleasure horse, you see them with their nose in, you see a certain headset. Because you're saying, wow, look how trained that horse is. Ask him to go back here. Good job, buddy. And I can feel him just starting to melt in my hand and get lighter and easier. Oh. Back, 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 back. Good boy. You saw him throw his head all over here. Look here. That's him looking for the answer. If I would have my hand floating in the air, he would have took my hand from me, and he would have thought that that's okay to take my hands from me. I want from a pony to a Percheron, any horse that I swing a leg over, to think that this halter, a snaffle, whatever I have my reins attached to, is an immovable object. Well, obviously, they are a lot stronger than us. His head and neck is a lot bigger than my wrist and arm. So I need to give him that illusion. Well, the illusion that I can give him is I can plant my hand on my leg, and that makes it feel a lot more stationary to him. There we go. Look how he's dropping his head. Look how chill he's looking. Look when his head drops, how it melts his whole body, and all of his muscles look softer and quieter and easier. He looks deflated. He doesn't look like he's looking for trouble. And release. And release. So what's funny, a lot of times I'll be working a horse in the clinic. They've never been worked with a halter. And right there, I just saw his teeth biting down on the bit. Huh. Sorry, buddy, you don't have a bit, so you can't bite it and run off with it. There is no bit that's going to stop the horse for you. There's no bit that's going to make the horse gait for you. There's no bit that's going to do these things for you. All these are just forms of communication that make communication easier or harder. Think of them like tools. Well, the tools only work if you know how to do construction. There's no tool out there that will do construction for you. So look how he's just softening up, and I release him completely. A lot of your direct rein horses like this have been ridden on a tight rein their whole life, and they have no idea what to do with a loose rein. Well, very quickly, I'm going to show them what to do. Relax. Now, I can't tell them to relax because it's kind of like telling my wife to relax. It's like trying to baptize a cat. It's not a great idea. Don't ever let the word relax, honey, come out of your mouth. That is not a good idea. Trust me. Okay? Same way with your horse. Me grabbing a hold of his face and saying, relax, relax, walk, walk. You may be using the word walk, but what's coming out of your mouth and what the horse is interpreting is not the same thing. So we want to make sure that no matter how frustrated we are with our horse or what's happening, that our body's relaxed and we're not adding any fuel to the fire. Now we're almost passing 7th grade, which is simply back up crooked, give to this pressure. From there, we're going to, see right there, I just want to get that out of the way first. Right there. Good job, buddy. Nice. From there, we're going to move to 8th grade. See how progressive this is? As soon as the horse tells me I can do it. Now, you may think, well, you're moving so fast, you're going to leave holes. It's the opposite of that. If today's his first lesson with me, takes an hour, tomorrow going through these same steps would take 30 minutes. By day 3, 15 minutes. By the end of the week, I will feel ridiculous doing any of this stuff because he's going to do it so well. So by design, we're purposefully not going to leave any holes. So if this horse could do all these things in 10 minutes, well, then this whole video would be done by now. 8th grade, stopping. Just want to make sure I have a set of brakes. So I'm going to drive him forward, make sure that he's not laying on my hands whenever he's going. Hey, this guy's kind of gated. He got that flat tire going. Block up, block out, block up, block out, block out, block out, block. Get him going, driving him forward. So my legs are on him. I'm going to take my legs off and hold back, hold, and release. Notice I didn't let go of the reins until he stopped pulling on my hands. That's very important. The reason we put the spirals in before we asked the horse to stop, because this horse, the way that he was pulling on me, he would have really pulled on me. He would have really pulled on me if I didn't soften him up first. Oh. There we go. All right. From there, are you ready to get into high school? Because that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to 9th grade. And 9th grade is simply flexing in motion. So I just want to make sure, just because I'm pressing the gas forward, that I can still move the steering wheel. Release. So I'm touching him off center. Right now I can see one eye. So he's allowing me to move that steering wheel. He looks at the manure spreader pass, and I'm able to just pull him to one side and release. That's simply flexing in motion. Guys, you wouldn't believe how common this is for horses that good horses give and go. They have a gas pedal and a steering wheel at the same time, simultaneously, which means at the same time. So many horses, they can give and flex, because somebody told the person to flex at a standstill, or you can go. But when you go, you have no steering wheel, and that's how people get run off with. So I want to make sure that the horse can move his feet and give his head at the same time. So watch, I'll ask him to go. He looks outside of the round pin. I'll slide down and bring his head to the inside. Good, good. Just like that, he passes 9th grade. If he has a real hard time with this, don't be afraid to go in real small circles and get him walking here. Are you guys noticing a pattern? Everything that we did from the ground, we're just doing it in the saddle. We did it from the ground, then we did it from the ground with something scary on his back, then we did it in the saddle with a scary person on his back. All right, guys, there's 3 buttons in the reins, and that's it. And the reason that we talk so much about the reins are the manual override. So with that being said, I want to make, legs are great, spurs are great, all these things are great, wonderful, beautiful. But what happens is we learn how to ride in the beginning on a finished horse with finished buttons. The problem with that is we don't know what to do when we're up the creek with no paddle, when things get a little dicey, when things are a little sketchy. We have no idea what to do because we haven't trained under distress and we haven't worked on the manual override. Anybody in the history of horse-human communications that has kicked the horse and the horse went where they wanted, it's because the horse wanted to go there. Okay? If you don't believe me, I have a pasture full of wild colts out there. Feel free, anybody fly down to South Mississippi, go out there in the field. If you can get close enough to one, go kick one and see if it goes where you want it to go. I'm willing to bet everything that it will not. The reason being is horses kick each other all the time. They don't guide each other with kicks. Control the head, control the horse. Button number 1, flex to the seam of our jean in our pocket right here in the middle of our hip. That gets their head. Button number 2, bring it here to their hip bone. Look at their hip bone. That's going to move their butt. Button number 3, we're going to drive this towards his shoulder like this. Drive his face towards his shoulder. Take the outside rein and leg off. And we're going to get that shoulder yield. He's not really good at it yet because he's always ridden in a straight line all of his life. There we go. You saw his front feet crossing over there? That's where you're going to get that shoulder yield. Now, this is something you can work towards. If you don't have their face in their butt, don't ride them until you have their face in their butt. But that shoulder is something that you can continue to build towards, something you can move forward towards. Once you have that, you got that shoulder yield and that horse is moving soft and easy, crossing over in the front end at whenever you ask, crossing over in the back end whenever you ask. We are simply going to move on to push obstacles. And push obstacles are as simple as this. You have some water there, you're going to sit back over your pockets, heels down, give them the opportunity to go over. If they say no, if they refuse, if you're on a loose rein, they're going to booger off to the left or right. You're simply going to, they go left, you pull right. Send them off in this direction. They go right, you pull left. You're not capping them. You're not grabbing a tight rein. What you're not doing is you're not creating an explosion. The word explosion gets used all the time. Explosions only come from capping something. They can't get out of there, so they look for the next answer, and they cross the water just like that. Guys, it's as simple as that to be able to go through a world-class obstacle course. It's as simple as that to get a horse over their fear of water. It's giving them a place to move their feet at all times. The reason desensitizing works so good for us is we always give them a way to move their feet and get away if they want to. We're really good with obstacles, again, because we're always allowing that horse. We're not micromanaging them. Most people do this. They come up to a water, the horse sticks his nose down towards the water. We're kind of scared the horse is going to jump, so we snatch the horse in the face and say, no, it's acid water. Well, 2 seconds later, you're kicking the horse to get into the acid water. The horse looks over his shoulder and says, are you crazy? It's acid water. We'll die. So it can't go backwards because you're kicking it. It can't go forwards because you said it was acid water, and it can't go right and left because you're holding so tight on the reins. Well, guys, the balloon can only hold so much air, and then it's going to pop. So what we want to do instead is sit back on our pockets like a cutting trainer or rider and give that horse the freedom to move his feet. If you do that, you can get the horse to do anything you want. All right, guys, the very last thing that we're going to work on to graduate you from high school before you go out and about or before you get done with these tests is speed transitions. And speed transitions is as simple as this. Use the circle to your advantage. So many horses have been held on so much that you have to ride around with the brakes the whole time. if you ride around with the brakes the whole time, the brakes will fail. So this horse, I guarantee, has been ridden by the feel of him with somebody in his face. So for these speed transitions, we're gonna walk right here, real slow and easy on a loose rein. Now, once I get quiet, this horse is at a standstill, we would start clicking to him, moving our feet around until he walked. Once he walks, we'll get quiet. That lets him know we wanna walk. Now, once we want to trot or gait, whatever he chooses, we will start getting busy again. But look at something. I'm not holding him back at all. Well, if you do this and your horse just speeds off too fast, simply make the circle smaller. Use the circle to control the speed until your horse starts being patient and waiting for you. See how he starts off quick and then he slows down because he realizes he's in a circle? This is the way to not get in a tug of war match. And now you'll feel kind of like a vehicle where if you press the gas, they'll go faster, but if you take your foot off the gas, it'll slow down. And as simple as that ideology is, you wouldn't believe how many people don't have that feel in their horse. So he's going, he's right above a walk or he's at a fast walk. I simply click, click, click until he makes a transition upward. He shifts gears. I'll leave him alone. I'm not kicking, I'm not pushing. Notice how I keep that rein off to the inside where he can see it, nice and ridiculous. And look how he's transitioning down on his own. If you told his owner that this horse was transitioning down without getting held on a loose rein with a halter, she would call you a liar. She said, no, that horse is all go, no whoa. He pulls so hard. Yeah, but that's because he hadn't been through the respect series. This horse is super educated in the art of gaiting. He is not educated at all when it comes to the respect series. So just making sure that those fundamental holes aren't there and getting him softer and easier, he's going to get easier to control. All right, well, let's say, well, you have your trot. Now you want that horse to canter. Don't change anything. You're quiet now at the trot. He's going too fast. He's making you uncomfortable. Simply bump him in. Look at the second I bump him in, how it slows him down. If you are comfortable, get out here. He's trotting. Ask him to canter. Good job, buddy. All right, guys. Did you notice something? When I started kissing, it wasn't the teenage peck on the cheek type. It was the French type. It was the long type. What I mean by that is one solid kiss until he did exactly what I wanted was a lot clearer for him to understand, oh, if he ever kisses to me, he wants canter. If he ever clicks to me, he wants trot, or in his case, gait. By being so repetitive, by having a system, by riding with intention and having a plan, it makes it so much clearer for your horse. And even though this whole program is redneck simple, it's so effective, because if it's simple for us, well, then we can turn around and relay that message to our horse very simply. So this repetition that you see through this program is really going to make it clear and easy for your horse to understand. And that's all we want, is for you to be safer and more confident on your horse. Well, stick with us, and the next thing that we're going to show you is how to mount your horse easier by using the come get me trick. So stick with us, keep watching, and we'll do that next. All right, guys, so that's through all 12 of our grades. And you notice this guy's still kind of dancing around, still kind of head up and moving, doing things like that. First and foremost, this is session number 1. More importantly, this was for content purposes for you guys to get an example of each and every grade. If we were in a clinic or this horse is in a training session with us, we are not going to move forward until the horse passes with better grades and move on to the next thing. So like all this dancing and stuff right now, your horse is being antsy, dancing, not wanting to stand still and relax. If there's ever an issue, just go back lower into the grades. So for this dancing, kind of pulling on the reins and stuff, for me at a clinic, this guy probably isn't moving through the whole respect series in one day. We just kind of wanted to give you one place to see all of the steps on a horse that had never done it. But what we would look for this horse to do is to pass with a better grade. So in this case, the day that he doesn't pull on the reins is the day that he's not going to throw his head, is the day that he is not going to be dancing around. So you got that horse that, you know, you're with your group of friends and the horse is dancing all over the place. No harm, no foul. Just simply go right back to flexing, to backing up crooked, to disengaging. Couple things we can do here. He's kind of wanting to pull, throw his head all up in the air like that. We'll simply make this adjustment here. We're going to take this clip off and go from the single line of the halter where the snaffle usually hooks to up above. And that's going to give us more torque and more pressure so that we use less of our muscle and more of our mind. The importance of that, also, we can lower this halter a little bit, and that's going to give us more leverage as well. And now we can get a lot better results because we can pinpoint what we want. What we want is for him to lower his head and to relax. And if every time he throws his head up, we leave our hands down right there. Good boy. So every time you come to a clinic, you'll see 12 out of 12 horses will leave completely relaxed with their head down, not going anywhere. But the difference between the clinic and us putting out the content of the Respect series is simply what you don't realize is in the clinic, a lot of those horses never get past 6th grade because we're only going to take them as far as they're willing to pass and learn and get a really good grade. But you got to think it's as simple as this. Even if you ride that horse for 3 or 4 days, if he has a bad day and comes out and is giving you a hard time, no harm, no foul, just going back and patching up your foundation, patching up your fundamentals. See all that? Before this guy, I would take him out and about. I would make sure that he does not want to pull on my hands. Because if he's pulling on my hands just at a walk, well, we know we get outside and he gets a little spooked. Just like he did from the ground, he's going to pull me around. We don't want him to pull me around. We want to make sure that we're in control and we're safe. So I'm just going to simply pick this apart. Now this stuff right here, the reason it gets lost in translation sometimes is because this is the non-romantic stuff. This is the tedious, boring stuff that nobody wants to do. They want to ride the horse that's already nice and going. And whenever they send the horse to me, they think that there's magic happening in South Mississippi, which there is. But you remember, magic is only magic if you don't know how to do it. This is the magic that happens. Us walking around on horses and picking them apart until they don't want to pull on our reins. And then they're pretty easy to suggest to do things. So right here, I just wanted to back up, 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 and release the second I felt his butt move. Good boy. And release, good boy. And release, good boy. Good boy. And we're gonna ride this joker for 3 or 4 days and document every single day for you guys so you can see him just melt right in front of the camera. You can just see how he goes kind of from being a little forward, a little head tossy. There we go, buddy. Notice even when he throws his head up, how I leave my hands down. That's really important. If I pick my hands up with where his head's at, there we go. Now he's looking to put his head down. But I still want those feet moving backwards. Good boy. Good boy. Now we're just going to walk forward and switch directions and just get him softer and easier where he's not willing to pull on our reins. One thing I want you to think, a pro tip, make sure your pinky is pointing out to the side and your hands are going out to the side. One of the very few things that horse people can agree on is lunging. You're English, you're Western, you round pen, you lunge, you meet up, whatever you want to call it, you're driving the horse forward and bringing their attention to the inside. Well, why not? If we're having a problem horse like little Lee here, why don't we just do the same thing from the saddle? Look how his head's getting lower. Look how ridiculously low my hands are. Don't be afraid to be ridiculous and obvious in the beginning so that later on we can be subtle and quiet and get what we want. Every time that his head gets up and straight, I pull him off to the side. So, basically this is like going to 9th grade again. Don't be afraid to, whichever grade in the respect series, once you've been through the respect series, don't be afraid to pick whatever grade you think is going to help you in that moment to fix. So we started in 7th grade doing spirals, backing him up, and he got a little stuck, a little stagnant there. So now we're moving him forward and we're flexing in motion. We're getting him to give his head as he's going forward. See, whenever he gets uncomfortable, his go-to is, there we go, buddy. His go-to is to stick his nose up and in a straight line. So if that's the case, every time that he does that, we're just going to change directions or pull his face off the center line. There we go. The softer and easier he becomes, the less he's looking over the wall for other horses, the more he's paying attention to us, the more obedient he's going to become, and you'll see him just melt right in front of your face. And guys, that's the magic. That's the secret. This is not a pet. This is your obedience dog. Or we could call him your obedience horse, I suppose. The softer and easier you want him, the more times we pull him left, the more times we pull him right, the better and better he's going to get at it. Through focus and repetition, everything becomes easier. There we go. That's what I like to see. You see how he stopped? I was just able to suck up on that rein and just draw his chin right to his shoulder. Let him put his head down. Now we went through speed transitions. We did all of those things just to see where our horse was at. And more importantly for you guys to see in consecutive order the respect series. And the reason we put the respect series together is to have a collection of exercises that will really help you gauge that horse. Sometimes some of the questions we get, oh, we went through the respect series, but we couldn't. The horse is still giving us a little issue on the trail, this, that, or the other. So much of it is, how does your horse pass that respect series? So for me, once we got done with him going fast and forward, we came back and he's kind of dancing around. He was soft and then he got stiff again. Come back and soften him again. Come back and go through a couple of the grades where we think the holes are. The respect series is the fundamentals of everything. And whenever you get an advanced horse, a college horse, all advanced is doing fundamentals better. Just through those 13 grades, just through going through high school, you've moved every body part of the horse. You moved their head, their butt, and their shoulders. Doesn't matter if you do dressage or reining or liberty. There's no exercise that doesn't involve either their head, their shoulders, or their butt. So just like that, that lets you know that no matter how advanced you get from here, that it's going to be some combination of movement, some layering of training that's going to get you what you want. So that's why the respect series is the beginning of everything. And having a program like this in place is really going to help you along the way, along with the understanding of how to speak horse. But you see that right there, that look, that head down, that quietness, that's the look that we finish every session with here at Gascon Horsemanship. This is just how every single horse looks, even if it's a saddlebred, a spotted saddle horse, a Paso, an Arabian, every single horse leaves quiet and easy. So even though we went through the whole respect series and got him going, got him cantering, got him doing all these things, we saw that he was still dancing around no harm, no emotion or frustration on our end. We simply step back and we back him up crooked again. We get him soft and easy again. The difference between this moment and the moment that we finished up by speed transitions is now he doesn't want to run into our rein. When we went around and we cantered him a little bit, he got excited. And he said, oh, well, now that we're going fast, I would love to pull on your reins. Are you sure, buddy? Well, today, you know, this session or this video may have taken an hour and 10 minutes. Tomorrow, watch. Like a fortune teller, this whole process is going to take us 30 minutes tops. By day 3, 15 minutes tops to get that flat, quiet horse. So if your horse looks like that, if your horse is soft like that, where you can just touch the reins right here with the finger and get their face moving where you want, that's the horse that you want to take out and about. If your horse is dancing and you can't get their attention back on you, if you can't just pick up a second rein and get him to, there we go, don't do it, buddy. Right there, give him that opportunity. There we go, get him to melt, get him to come off your rein. And if they are still pulling on you, if they are still giving you a hard time, don't be afraid to just stay where you're at and do that repetitively day after day and just chip away at it. I'm telling you, in the long run, you are going faster. By making, a lot of times we feel faster by jumping ahead and moving on to the sport that we want to play or going ahead and getting on the trail. You are moving a lot faster just to stay where you're at and fix it first before going there. You're going to get there so much quicker. Look, every time we get done messing with him now, he puts his head down. We can even go back and test him again and ask him to speed up and kind of get that heart pumping. Get that heart pumping. Get him moving his feet. Back to that speed transition that got him excited in the first place. And now from that speed transition, we are gonna circle back down to a spiral. So jumping from 12th grade right back down to 7th grade to that spiral and see, hey buddy, can you just chill out? Now you're starting to see that transition where we can go from excited to quiet. Turn on, turn off. And notice we keep coming back to that complete loose rein with that rein right there on his withers, but look where his head's at now. Now it's not up here. Now he doesn't look like a giraffe cat. He looks like a calm, quiet saddle horse. This is exactly the magic of the program. This is why we stand behind it, we believe it, and we have so many thousand people who have experienced it, and they are all about it because you just see those night and day differences. Well, what you're seeing is just night and day clarity. Hey, buddy, if you do the thing that I want, I will give you a complete loose rein and I won't bother you. If you pull on me, if you try to make your own decisions, I'm going to get in your way and you probably won't like that. So we are going to put together 3 days right in a row, bang, 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 and you're just going to see how today it took an hour to get him calm and relaxed and easy. Tomorrow it's going to take 30 minutes. By day 3, he's going to dang near come out of the stall just looking to be soft and easy. And that's exactly what we're looking for you to have at home. All right, guys, well, stay tuned for the rest of the video. Hey, guys, it's Michael Gascon, the Horse Guru, and like I promised, we are back with Lee to do his first session of the Come Get Me trick. So Lee is the spotted saddle horse, 7 years old, problematic pony that we just did our first session of the Respect series, and we're going to give him his first session of the Come Get Me trick. So whether you just want a redneck Ferrari that's going to come pick you up like valet service, or you're arthritic and stiff like me and have a hard time getting up on the horses, so you want them to come pick you up, this trick is going to do the trick. A couple things you're going to need. You need a halter. You're going to need a saddle, hopefully, and something to climb up on. In this scenario, the gate. What I want to do, first things first, is I want to show him how to move his butt with a crop. So I'm going to bring it here and tap till he moves. There we go. Do the same thing on the other side. And you'll notice I'm bringing it kind of high because I want that button to be higher up on the hip. All right, once we have that underway, we're going to throw our lead rope over our gate. We're going to step up and above him like so. The reason you want a gate is you want to have something you can straddle. So here, if I start putting pressure on him, if he bumps into me, I can keep clicking. If he runs away from me, I can hold on to him. If you start this on a mounting block, you're at a very vulnerable situation being on that plastic. If he bumps into you, you have to release. If he goes away from you, you have to release so that he doesn't pull you off of it. So bring him in close just like so. Notice how he's teed off to the gate. I don't want to cheat. and have his butt already over here under me. The next thing I'm gonna do, make sure he's okay with the whip. Perfect, he is. Now I'm gonna reach up like this. He has no idea what this means, obviously. I'm gonna reach over to this hip and I'm gonna start clicking to him. Good boy. He just barely moved in my direction. Notice I have my lead rope on the other side, so if he boogers off, he's not gonna booger off more than 15 feet. Good boy. Good boy. Oh. He keeps dancing around here and I just keep, good boy, that's it. Now he put that, for the first time, he put that saddle right beside me. Notice how I made a tunnel with my arm, and whenever he put his head through the tunnel, I just hugged him. Basically, I put a hand down on him and let him know what a good, pretty boy he is. Good job, fella. Good job, fella. I'm activating that other eye. Now, I shouldn't have to say this, guys, but don't mount the horse if you still have a leg on this side of the gate. You say I wouldn't have to say that. Oh, Michael, you're being ridiculous. Notice in America, on the Tylenol bottles, it says for oral consumption only. Who messed that one up? All right, so I'm gonna put my second leg on this side of the gate, activate this eye, and I'm gonna swing the leg over just like so. Good job, buddy. We're gonna pull away from the gate right here. Ho. Very nice. And we are gonna be working the respect series for 3 days in a row on film for you guys. So make sure you're watching those videos. The way that he kind of walked off a little bit, the way he kind of threw his head when we stopped, watch in 3 days how he's not gonna do that anymore. Same thing, whatever we do once, we'll do again. Good boy. Good boy. If I pick my leg up and he moves back, no harm, no foul. Pick that crop back up. There we go. Good job, buddy. Good job. And gather up my lead rope before I swing a leg over him. Nice. Very nice. Ask him to stand still. Now we're going to move off to the right. Hold. Ask him to stop right there. Good job, buddy. Now the trick is not complete until you don't need a crop. So we're going to give him a chance here. Good boy. If he's ever at a place where you feel like you can't get on him, make sure just call him back. No harm, no foul. And that right there is how you do the come get me trick, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, guys, so a recap of the most amazing, most evolved, easy to work with program in the world, the Respect Series. Recap is this. Preschool, just simply be able to get your horse to cross over, free lunging over obstacles one time in each direction without trying to run you over, without taking a lot of pressure. We're not trying to wear them out, and that's passing. From there, immediately as they're willing to pass, we go to kindergarten. Kindergarten is respect. Simply getting that horse to back up with no physical pressure, without having to dink them, bonk them, crack them, move them, anything like that, and walking off and them staying outside of your bubble, not stepping on your heels, not breathing on your neck, staying outside of your arm's reach. If they do that, you just passed kindergarten. From there, we move to first grade. First grade is simply lunging for attention, and you'll notice if you watch us, it's not to where the horse is out. As a matter of fact, it's a real small circle where we're inside their bubble. It doesn't make sense to me to lunge 30 feet away when I'm about to straddle that horse. 30 feet away doesn't really prepare them for me being on their back. But first grade, lunging for attention, being right in their bubble, in their personal space, all they have to do is walk a circle around you and look at you the whole time. When you change directions, keep their face on you, being soft and easy. That's passing. To pass with an A, you can simply advance first grade as much as you want to, where you're now moving their shoulders or moving their butt. So check out the difference between our videos on green horses like this, where they're just passing, versus our video on Cody, where we're perfecting it. Really, first grade can really advance your horsemanship once you start getting those higher levels. But you need a bare minimum of getting that horse's undivided attention, that he can look at you and you can circle him around you, no problem, to even think about riding. From there, we're going to move to second grade. Second grade is simply getting that horse to freeze up, getting that horse to stand still when he's scared, when he doesn't know what to do, when he's lost. Freeze, wait for me, let me guide you. And we do that through desensitizing, with a rope, with a flag stick, with a tarp. You can be as creative as you want to. You can shoot guns, you can swing ropes, you can have a lion or a tiger in the background. Doesn't matter. It's all about getting that horse to wait for you versus doing the primal instinct of running off. If you can do that, no matter what, he's standing still for you, you have passed second grade. Good job. Let's move to third. Third grade, we're going to get that horse doing the same simple task of backing up, turning left and right, but under distress. So you can put a tarp on him. You can hang a can bag off the saddle. You can shake some bells at them. Whatever it is, moving them when they're uncomfortable and seeing, can they still listen to you? This is where most horses fall apart. Most people get hurt on trained horses that do all these things just fine, as long as they're comfortable, as long as they're in the perfect ideal world. Well, does anybody watching this believe that we live in the perfect ideal world? In real life, it's not about what happens to you. Stuff happens to everybody. It's about what do you do about it. So we want to see how they handle that distress, and we figure that out in third grade, simply getting them to desensitize in motion, making sure that they can do kindergarten and first grade under distress. From there, we're going to go to fourth grade. Fourth grade, making sure that they're going to stand still for us to get on their back, desensitizing them, hanging off the side of the saddle, jumping up beside them, things like that, making sure that they're going to freeze up and stand still. Basically, just going back to second grade, but preparing them for mounting. You mount, you get on your horse, no problem. Now you're sitting on the horse. First thing we do is sit still. Horses are creatures of habit. If you get on and go, get on and go. Before long, they're going to go before you get on. Not fun. Like this guy, being the little problem that he is, we swung a leg over him. Immediately, he moved off. Well, we moved off. We mount prepped good. He stood still for us to get on, and then he moved off. Go into fifth grade, where we start looking for him to flex, gain control of his head. Our mantra here at Gascon Horsemanship is control the head, control the horse. So we start flexing back and forth. Keep going until that horse can stand still and turn his head one time to each side without moving his feet around. I'm telling you, how soft he is in the face is a direct correlation to how safe you are. How much control of his head you have is in a direct correlation, cause and effect, to how much control you have of the horse. So this is vital. From there, we're going to go to sixth grade. Sixth grade, now that he's soft in the face, we're going to use his face to move his butt. Remember, everything that doesn't behoove your health and well-being happens in a straight line. Bucking, running, rearing, every time they're back in, their butt is pushing off, driving in a straight line. So our ability to cross over those back feet by simply pulling his face and moving his back feet is our ability to shut off his motor when things go wrong. It's like the little red button at the gas station, the emergency shut off. Taking his face to his butt, crossing his back feet up is going to shut him down. And you can see that on our finished horse. At a walk, trot, or canter, the horse can do it. In the beginning, you want to see that you can do it at a standstill is passing. From there, we're going to go to seventh grade. Seventh grade is spiraling. Spirals are awesome because they take the horse off center where they can't really argue with you to the full amount of their capacity. And a horse like this that's so forward and so straight and so stiff, we can really just pick him apart softly and easily by doing spirals and backing him up soft and easy. What we're looking to do to pass is that he can back up crooked. If he can't back up crooked, he can't pass. Believe me, it doesn't sound like it's going to work. It's going to make a huge difference for you guys. So make sure that you're passing that no problem. Eighth grade. Eighth grade stopping. If you pass seventh grade, eighth grade is going to come easy. If you do not pass seventh grade, like so many things, so many of us, oh, second grade's hard. Let's just put our kid in third. That's horrible thinking. Horrible. We want our kid to go to Harvard. You save up all this money to go to Harvard. Harvard's wonderful. Harvard's the Ivy League. You better spend time with them in kindergarten and first grade going through homework and making sure that they're passing with good grades, because if they don't have great grades, they're not going to Harvard no matter how much money you have. Same way with your horse. If you pass 7th grade good, getting them backing up crooked, they're gonna stop easier because they're not gonna be willing to pull on your line. So anytime that you run into an issue with them pulling on your line, go back to disengaging, go back to spirals and backing them up crooked. From then, we're gonna move to 9th grade, which is simply flexing in motion, getting that circle, very similar to 1st grade from the ground. Now we're just doing it from the saddle, where we wanna just be able to take that horse's face away from them whenever we want. And we don't even necessarily need to affect the steering by doing it. We just wanna break loose their head from their body so we can control their head whenever we want to. Once that horse gets soft and easy and his head's not attached, we can simply move his face wherever we want. We're gonna go to 10th grade, sophomore year, getting the last of the big 3 moving, which is the shoulders. The big 3 are head, butt, and the last one, shoulders. Anytime we're using our hands in the reins, manual override, when our hands come to our center, to our hips, we're looking for their head. Our hand comes behind our hips, we're looking for their butt. And anytime our hands come in front of us, whether direct rein or neck reining, we're looking to move their shoulders. Neck reining here, that horse will be spinning around, leg yielding or shoulder yielding, whatever you like to call it. We're gonna get that shoulder blowing out. It's all about getting that bend and getting them going forward. To pass that, you need to have that horse moving forward, keep his nose bent to the inside, draw his nose right here to his shoulder, and if that circle gets bigger, you really don't have to know what it feels like or look down to see it cross over. If you are in a circle, your horse's nose stays to the inside and that circle gets bigger, the only way you can obtain or achieve that is by him crossing over in that front end. Once you get that, we're gonna go through push obstacles. Do something scary, okay? Go somewhere, whether it's a soccer ball or a tarp, look for something he doesn't wanna do and get him to push it, go through it, go over it. This is really gonna let you know ahead of time what he's gonna do out there on the trail when he gets afraid. You don't wanna get out there and get stuck and have to call for help. You wanna just be able to drive that horse any direction you want to, and we simply do that by giving him a loose rein, pressuring him until he makes a decision. If his decision is left, we disengage him to the right, send him forward, disengage him to the left until he wants to go over the obstacle that we want him to go through. And last but not least, the 2 ways to get a horse to come unglued or untrained is scare them, so push obstacles and desensitizing, and also going fast. So the last thing is speed transitions. Yeah? Speed transitions are so important because you get the next gear out of the horse and you get them moving a little faster to see what kind of control you're in. The reason you feel safe and the reason you feel confident whenever you do that is because you have that horse off center, which is what you want to see. You want to make sure that you can send that horse walk, trot, canter, go somewhere. The thing that makes you feel safe is the circle. The thing that makes you feel safe is you're not holding back where he can buck, run, or rear. You're holding him off to the side just with one rein, basically lunging him from the saddle. If you do this, you'll find out that there's nothing to fear with speed as long as you can guide that speed. Super important. Don't shy from speed that much, because what happens if we never ask the horse to go fast and we never push that button, if something spooks him and he goes that speed and he's never been controlled at that speed, well then he feels like he's free and he takes us for a ride. If you stick to these simple, simplistic, basic rules to live by, your horsemanship is going to go through the roof. And no matter what you're doing after the Respect Series, it has something to do with the Respect Series. I don't care if you become a reiner, a dressage rider, a Grand Prix jumper. In all of horsemanship, there is no sport that doesn't have to do with their head, their butt, or their shoulders. There is no movement that doesn't have to do with their head, their butt, and their shoulders. There's no movement that doesn't have to do with giving or going. And through the Respect Series, you've done all of this. So everything that you do from here on out is just a different mixture. You know how they say music has the same 4 chords? Everything in horsemanship has these same 12 steps, has something to do with giving or going, has something to do with their shoulders or their butt, has something to do with the way they give their face. If you can do the Respect Series, you can do anything. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Do you want to fix any horse with only 12 easy steps? I'm Michael Gascon, the Horse Guru, and I'm going to show you how. I've been blessed and fortunate to travel around the world working with some of the world's most problematic horses from any discipline you can imagine. I want to invite you to join me with the Horse Help course, which is going to take you through the Respect Series that is the foundation to my success with working over 500 problem horses a year. Over the next 6 weeks, we're going to break down the steps to help you train your horse find success, and build your confidence so you can actually enjoy riding your horse again. You'll get lifetime access, live or recorded Q&As, video reviews, and examples of hot horses, cold horses, problem horses, and even colt starts going through this course. So check out the start date in the link below. See you there. Oh, and did I mention you could do all of this for less than the price of 2 riding lessons? You have stuck around this long to the end of the video, and you have got this awesome opportunity ahead. Every Friday evening at the end of the video, we put in a special code word to give away a prize. And if you are the first lucky person to email this code word, which I'm about to give you, to the email address gasconhorsemanship@gmail.com, the first person that sends this code word is going to get a free 1-week retreat here in South Mississippi in our Western Hotel. 5 days, 6 nights. All you can eat buffets every night, my mother's amazing Southern cooking. We're gonna do everything from obstacles to trick training, trail rides, pool noodle fights, soccer games, chase some cows, do some roping. Everything your horsey hearts desire. You can figure out how to do it here at a retreat, and I can't wait to have you. So, that code word is gonna be Paint Pinto. I repeat, Paint Pinto. If you put Paint Pinto in the email address gasconhorsemanship@gmail.com, and you're the first one, send it right now. Type as fast as your little fingers will take you, and I'll see you in South Mississippi. See you in the next video.